Hey everybody, TBC here. So today I wanted to bring you a video on 10 things I think that you should do before Kunark launches on Oakwind. But before I get into my list, I just wanted to let you all know about some really exciting positivity that's happened right here on the channel, and that was we was accepted into the YouTube partnership program, which is fantastic news. That means that if you want to go a little bit further to support me, you can join the channel by pressing the join button below. I'm looking at some really cool ways I can give benefits to those that do that as well. Not only that, you get some cool little icons and logos from when I do my live streams in the chat, so everyone knows how long you've been a member, and I'm just kind of putting that all together right now. More news to follow on that. Also available is like super chats and the super thanks as well. So really cool, really exciting. I'm so happy to have hit that goal. So let's get right on into today's video. So I thought, Kunark's only a few weeks away now, so what better to think about what things that we can be doing right now to prep ourselves for Kunark, but maybe to do something a little bit different and have a little bit of fun while we're doing it. So the first thing on my list is something that I really enjoy, and that is getting those hunter achievements. You kill the rares, you get the loot, you get the points and the bragging rights. Perfect. It's taken me to some interesting zones across Narath trying to do these achievements, and some of them are really hard. There's achievements all the way from the Hunter of Crushbone for killing the Warden and the Taskmaster. Not Emperor Crush or Divin, the Warden and Taskmaster. Don't know. All the way to Lower Guk, Sol B, the Hole. You will see these achievements littered throughout the game, and they're a fun way to see different zones and camp different areas if you've never done it before. I've included loads of them in my zone guides I made, so feel free to check that playlist out, which is linked down below. Next up is quests. It wouldn't be EverQuest if there was no quests. Now there are tons and tons of quests in the game, even in Classic, and they did bring some achievement points in for some fairly recently in a recent update. A lot of these are what they call city quests. Most of them are super easy. I am talking Crushbone Belt level, but there's some in every city, and they're a fun little way to waste away a few hours, like Yeolan Bronzeleaf here in Felweath. He wants us to protect the mother, and to do that he wants 4 sets of bone chips as proof of our vigilance, and we won't go unrewarded. Well, let's see exactly. So I've just brought my find window, found some bone chips. Let's just make sure we do it the old school way of giving it one at a time so we don't run into any problems. Where did my window go? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's trade those in, and I get, there we go, the Clerics of Tunar, a little bit of faction, a tiny little bit of faction, and pops the achievement, bone chips for Yeolan. Like I said, some of these for every city, and just a fun little quick thing that you can do to waste away a few hours. Of course, there are other quests in the game for things like enchanters. Maybe you're an enchanter alt. Well, you need to do the Tash quest, which is a fun way to see every city in the game. A little bit easier on this server. Pro tip, you can just make a level 1 and use the shared bank to trade it to your enchanter, as well as other things like the Temple of Sol quests, the focus items for mages. There's lots out there, and I would really encourage you to go out there and have a look at what quests you can do, or maybe just waste away a few hours doing all of these little noob quests for a tiny bit of XP and faction. But the achievement points too. There is also a whole bunch of other achievements you can do, like these ones hidden away in the Slayer, but they actually don't do anything anymore. You used to have to do these in order to get the Bane Strike, but they recently changed Bane Strike that as soon as you get one you get kind of 2% across everything, so you don't have to worry about these anymore. But the achievement points are nice. Next up on the list I have the J-Boots. Now, I've said before that these are an item that you absolutely must get in classic on EverQuest, and I 100% maintain that. These items, you don't really need them for the run speed effect. I mean, it's certainly nice to have if you are a like non-soul class and run out of the soul pots. It can give you that little bit of a boost, but outside of that, their main utility is on raids against dispellers. There's several raids where you're fighting against mobs that cast a dispel. Now, these dispels typically take the top slot, so the number one buff that you have, typically, but not always. So when that happens, what you want to do is make sure it's your J-boots that they are taking off, and every time it goes, you click it again. So it always takes off J-boots. Not any of your other important buffs, which are either going to keep you alive, make you do more damage, and so on. So check out the video if you haven't done it yet or don't know what it entails. As you can see, I've come to the island on Oakwind right now, and it's very, very popular. There's not many up other than the tainted and corrupted, and no one's doing those for obvious reasons. They're pretty nasty, but there's not many Sea Furies, and I'm sure as soon as the ancient Cyclops was to spawn that people would be immediately bolting over to it. But there are people here, you can see them, and make sure you come at a good time of day, and maybe you'll get a chance at getting the ancient Cyclops. Get the items that are gonna go away forever, and one of the first ones in EverQuest that we come to is from down here in Lower Guk. So I thought I would quickly show you guys, and it is the Dark Elf Illusion Mask, the Guise of the Deceiver. Now, this item, it's a pure vanity item, and it spawns right here at this camp, and oh look, the mob happens to just simply be up the first time I come. So it's at the Ass sub camp, and here it is on my ranger. Now it does affect your faction, so just be wary of that if you're using it in a city that might make you KOS. It knocked me down all the way to dubious in Calathyn, and like I said, I was lucky enough to pick one of these up while I was leveling. I'll get to keep it forever. Now you do still have a bit of time, in fact quite a bit of time into Kunark to get one, so make sure you do. Again, it's just a fun little item to go and get before it is gone forever. I love them. I really do think Chrono are a deep part of the game now, and there was a really good possibility that if not for Chrono, that the game wouldn't exist as it does today, or at all even. And if you're like me and you run multiple accounts, keeping a healthy Chrono balance is important. And even if you don't box, having your next 6 months of game time already paid for might be appealing to you too. And right now I come to one of the most popular plat farming spots in the game, because what people do is they farm platinum or farm items, use that platinum then to buy Chrono. So there's always a correlation between the two, and it's what runs the game's economy these days. A lot of people dislike it, a lot of people still maintain that Chrono ruined the game, but I think it's something that if you're playing on a TLP, that you just simply have to adapt to. And as you can see right now in Hill Giants, there's a lot of people here. There's solo players, there's boxers, and there's probably an AFK mage or two. But this is typically what people say is the best spot in the game to farm platinum. Some of these giants can drop up to 40 plat a time, or sometimes as low as 3 or 4, so you never guarantee the big drop. But I think if you are waiting for Kunark, farming plat and Chrono certainly isn't a bad option. Another great use of your time prior to Kunark is have a look and see what items you potentially want to aim for in Kunark on your main. A couple of websites to do that, really good ones, like EQ Items and Raid Loot. Now, with a warning, they don't always tell you what the best item is. The ranking, it does help, it does give you an indication, but it's not always correct. It's better to make a well-rounded character than the top item in every slot, because that probably won't be the best combination that you can go for some of the time, but it will certainly give you some ideas of what loot to aim for and where to kind of go to get it. So if we're looking on EQ items, I've put in I'm a ranger, I'm a wood elf, and I'm in Kunark, and I'm level 60, and it's gonna straight away give me some items to look at. So the Pearly Sarnak Bauble, Yunub's Earring, Crown of Ryle, these are all Kunark drops. And you'll see that in Kunark there's not always a lot of items, because the best faced is still the eye patch from Classic. And as we go down, Robe of the Azure Sky, which is, I think that's number one for every class. It's kind of ridiculous, except the AC is pretty bad, but the stats are crazy. It's just so funny in Kunark seeing every class running around in this robe. Really funny. Spirit Rat Cord, you can look at where it drops, or maybe you want to do the quest. Good luck to you on that one, it's not easy. So this is a useful website to kind of see what are the top items and what you should be aiming for every single slot. Raid Loot will also tell you, if you filter it to Kunark, what items drop. As we see from Raid Loot, not everything's always better, and there is actually an awful lot in Kunark. It is a bit of, in my opinion, a low point for Raid Loot. And even if you look at like the BP that drops from track for Rangers, yes, it's nice. The click effect is kind of not good. I mean, maybe if you're a Shawfall Glade Ranger to get to Feydark, but that cast time's kind of nasty. 30 seconds. The pants, again, nice pants, but the 10-second cast time for cancel magic might be useful. A couple of times you might click it, but probably not. And again, you can cycle down and see, what do I get in Vishan's Peak? And I want to filter it to see what I can get from my Ranger. The Spirit of Wolf, actually, katana is actually pretty nice. I would get that. You're not going to use it for the weapon because you're going to have your epic, but having a clicky Spirit of Wolf, that's a plus. There's your Robe of Azure Sky from Faradar, Shroud of Vishan and Yunub's Earring. They're pretty much the best in slot for everyone, and if you're crazy you can get a Razor Fang of Zygos, but you're going to be wanting your epic most of the time, in fact all of the time. So have a look at these websites, plan out what you want to go, and work out how much DKP you want to spend. The worst thing you can do when going into a new expansion is to be like fear of missing out, just dropping DKP left and right on items you're gonna upgrade. I've made that mistake before, and I'm warning you now so you don't do it too. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you now. This one may come as a bit of a surprise, because what I'd say you should absolutely do before Kunark is raid log. Take a break. We have been so full, like speed ahead, since Classic launched. There's absolutely nothing wrong with stepping back for a few days and playing other games that are out, if that's what you want to do, or spending some time away from the screen. I would highly recommend it. Kunark's coming, and we're going to have another sprint to level 60 then. So take a bit of time away, prep yourself, come back refreshed. I'd say raid log, so you're still logging in for your raids, so you're still earning your DKP and your attendance and whatnot, so but you're not going to get burnt out if you're only doing that 2 or 3 nights a week. And lastly, I will say level an alt. Oakwind is the perfect server for leveling alts. Well, almost perfect. I'd say Mischief was probably a little better, but Oakwind is a really close second. Not only do we have the heirloom loot, so any loot you get on your main you can pass down even if it's no drop, but with the legacy buff you're going to level very fast, potentially up to 100% faster base before XP pot and before perks. That's great. Not only is this something fun and unique for this server, it lets you play other classes with relative ease and get them to a high level. But not only that, you are going to get a tangible benefit as well, because come level 60, when we're in Luclin, that bonus that we get will make you absolutely fly through AAXP on your main, which as we know can be a grind. Leveling alts is fun, Lots of people are doing it on Oakwind. There's still loads and loads of people leveling up right now. And I'd say it's not always new people. These are a lot of people that are making alts and going through it again. I know people who have made 4, 5, 6 Shadow Knights. I know people that are making one of every class on their main. I've never heard of people doing that in any other servers. And Oakwind is the perfect server if you're an altaholic. And as my bonus, I would say play with others. That's right, even if you're Boxer. Some of the best times I've had on Oakwind so far is playing with friends and guildies or just from pugging. In fact, I leveled just as a solo player pugging. I've been doing alt raids with my guildies, and that's been so much fun because everyone's playing different characters and classes where they're not quite sure how to play it on a raid, and no one knows for sure who is who. It's been a whole lot of fun, and getting some great gear on these alts, but more so just for the camaraderie of doing it with others as well. And you know what, even if you're an antisocial boxer like I am sometimes as well, I am guilty of doing that, and I always try and make some time whenever I can to group with other real life people. So that's my video for today. 10 things I think you should do before Kunark launches. Now, if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. You want to hit that like button down below and the subscribe button if you haven't done already. It's very, very much appreciated. Like I said earlier, if you want to go a step further, there's the super thanks and the channel membership as well. Lots more videos coming soon as we get towards the end of Classic and into Kunark. I will of course be giving any channel members that join the opportunity to pick what zones maybe I look at or content or videos that they want to see. So these are some of the benefits that I am going to try and bring to you should you choose to become a channel member. Other than that, I am the Brick Nook, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.